न तपांसी न तीर्थानाम न शास्त्राणाम जपान नहीं संसार सागरोद्धारे सज्जनम सेवनम विना. Of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the four goals of human life, moksha is common to all. Whether you are rich or poor, whether you are learned or illiterate, whether you are a king or you are a pauper, man or a woman, everybody is entitled to moksha. The paths to this moksha are of different kinds of paths. However, for Kali Yuga, the easiest path is Seva, service to all. In Kruta Yuga, when they were most of the people were good people, sattvic people. A few Rakshasas were there here and there. For that sake, one or two avatars were enough to finish them off. So most of the times, people in Kruta Yuga were busy doing tapas. Tapas was the way of spirituality and to attain moksha in Kruta Yuga, the very early ages. So most of the stories you see, Ramayana stories also, before that, all these Rishi stories you hear, they were generally to protect the good people who are doing tapas and protect the Vedas, protect the Shastras. That was the main theme at that point in time. So everybody was asked to do tapas. So most of the people were in forests or in hills and faraway places away from the crowds in the cities and generally spending most of their time in tapas. So those rishis, those pictures that you see standing on one leg or hanging upside down or not eating for days and months together, they are all pictures which actually belong to that Yuga. Kruta Yuga is the time. In Treta Yuga, by the time Sri Rama came, slight decline in the spiritual fervor had already started. Even people who were doing tapas, they were doing tapas for selfish sake, like Ravana himself. He did a lot of tapas. But what sake? He wanted to earn some powers and favors from the divine, from God, for his own personal sake. So also so many Rakshasas there who did tapas for their sake. At that point of time, the next phase of spirituality started, which was Yagas. Yajnas, Karmakandas were becoming popular. And people were told you don't have the purity of mind to do tapas, by withdrawing the mind within and holding it steady and absorbing it in the self and thereby transcending the body and the mind. That's not your cup of tea anymore. The times have changed. There are more Rakshasas around and Rakshasi pravritti is also increasing. Therefore, they were given the job of doing yajnas and yagas. So even Vishwamitra was doing homa or yajna, and Tataki and Maricha Subahu came, troubled the Vishwamitra with her, and that's how Sri Rama went and protected the yajna. He also killed these fake tapasvis who do tapas for their personal benefits like Ravana. So he take care of all of them. So tapas was not the way for Treta Yuga. Yajna yagas were becoming the way of Treta Yuga. By the time Sri Krishna came, that better period also got over by the demise of Sri Rama and the advent of Sri Krishna. That period was a transition period where the society further declined in its pursuit of moksha. Not everybody was interested in moksha anymore. They were interested in kingdoms and wealth and women and all kinds of pleasures. So this was the reason why most of the people were living. Yajna yagas were happening, but these yajna yagas were happening also for the sake of pride and pomp and show and arrogance. Look at those Ashwamedha yagas or various types of yagas which our Dharmaraja was performing. It was more to establish yourself as the supreme Chakravarti by releasing a horse which nobody should capture. And that's how you prove to the whole world that you are the undisputed king and the ruler. So even yajnas were not being done for the right cause. Yajnas were not doing to bring prosperity to people. Yajnas were not being done for bringing rains in the parched lands. Yajnas were not doing for better health of the citizens. Yajnas became a way of showing off your power and prowess and supremacy. So also the Dharmaraja performed yajnas. So even yajnas started losing the thing. Then the way of Dwapara Yuga was dana. You sacrifice not yajna. The essence of yajna is basically dana or tyaga. So that dhanam became the way of spirituality in the Dwapara Yuga. Everybody was supposed to do charity. And that's why Karna, who though he fell into the wrong company of Duryodhana, circumstances were such, but he was praised a lot because of his ability to give dhanam. And dana became the way of doing spiritual sadhana in Dwapara Yuga. And people were going for pilgrimages, people were giving dhanam. This was the way of Dwapara Yuga. By the time it came to Kali Yuga, tapasvis are not tapasvis. How many? There may be a few people still following that path, but for most of the people, it is not the path. To go to Himalayas or go away to forests and hide in the caves and go on doing this tapas, few can do. That is not the method. Times have changed. Even if you go to in the middle of the Himalayas, now people go trekking everywhere. Can you imagine this place, Nandi Hills and all these hills around, were places where sages did tapas? With all these that is happening around, do you think any sage can afford to do any tapas in any of these hills at this point in time? Not possible. Because there are people and they'll be trekking and hiking and disturbing them. So tapas is not going to happen. Can we do yajnas in today's times? So it's not easy for doing yajnas also. First of all, the vidhi vidhanas also are forgotten. Most of the people don't even know how to perform a proper yajna. This decline of culture has happened. And yajnas are also being done here also today. Most of the people do yajnas for gaining something. A lot of yajnas we do. Mrityunjay Homa, we also do those things. But we do it for Loka Kalyanam. But most of the people, when they fall sick, they want to Dhanvantari Homa, Mrityunjay Homa. So, pujas, homas became a means of only gaining from God. Nothing to give. The Tyaga Dana is not there. So then came Dana. At least you don't know how to do yajna, you don't know how to do tapas, do Dhanam. Do give to poor, feed the poor, give the poor. So that time, after Dwapara Yuga, the temples came up everywhere. After Dwapara Yuga, there were temples, and they were all Annajan Kshetras, Vidya Kshetras, Arogya Kshetras. Dhanam started. A lot of temples in India were the richest because the kings had thought that our Lord or our true king is this God. And they offered everything to the temples. Temple treasuries were richer than king's treasuries. And whenever there was a drought or a famine or a war or any other calamity or a disease, temples opened their doors, granaries, and did dhanam. Whatever they received from people was given back in times of crisis. So that is how people gave more and more to temples or such charities. Charity was the way to do good things in the Dwapara Yuga. But by the time it came to the Kali Yuga, people became so self-centered, they didn't want to give anything. Go to a temple and search for the worst note in your wallet, which nobody will take. You can't even recognize it, 10 rupees or 20 rupees or 50 rupees, so bad. Then you want to put it into the hundi silently and say, you have done dhanam. So that kind of dana also is of no use. You give away old, unused or not being used kind of things. But it is not an act of charity. You may dub it that way. It is not. You're doing to help yourself, not others. So this kind of charity, the worst things that you do not use or that's already gone bad, you giving it to others is not charity. But Kali Yuga people's charity is like that. That is also of no use. So now what the scriptures say, in Kali Yuga you go, do seva. Physically get involved. Mentally get involved. Emotionally get involved. Spiritually get involved and participate in solving the problems of the people. You can't afford to go to Himalayas and sit because there are so many people who are suffering. You can't be just seeking your moksha. You can't go to do yajnas and yagas. It's very unaffordable. So the whole idea of yajna, dana and the tapas is lost. Very few people are able to truly follow it in the letter and spirit. But the easiest thing for Kali Yuga is that, okay, you do not know Veda mantras, you don't have the determination to stand in cold and rain and do tapas. You do not know how to perform rituals and yagas because nobody taught you, and those who have learned also, they have not learned properly. You don't have anything, your dana quality also is quite poor at this point of time. Minimum you can do is spend your time, energy, and whatever your resources you can in helping whoever you find around you. That does not require you to study scriptures. That does not require to call a pujari or a pandit from somewhere. That does not require to go to even a temple. That does not even require you to forget about going to the Himalayas. You don't even have to go to the next hill nearby. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, turn it into seva. Do everything, sarvakaram bhagavad prityartham. Do everything for the sake of God. And sarvakaram phalatyagam. Do the tyaga in it. That is, do it for the sake of God, and whatever comes, offer it back. To everybody you do seva. Seva is the easiest path in the Kali Yuga. So now you know, while tapas helps to control the mind and steady the mind and things like that, The yajnas help us to put our scriptural truths to test and do things for the sake of the betterment of the society, in the sense loka kalyanartham. Then you do all this danam for the sake of things, for the sake of betterment of society, without any conditions, without any selfishness. But even easier than that is turn all your work into seva. Don't find a separate time to do sadhana. Don't find a separate time to do yajna, a separate time to do dana. See, all those who work in these institutions, this is tapas, this is yajna, this is dana, this is seva. But this is also your job. This is also your livelihood. This is also that which keeps your bone and flesh together. This is also that which takes care of your family and your responsibilities. At the same time, it also ensures whichever yuga your body, mind belongs, that idea is also being fulfilled. This idea of turning all work into worship is our way. And every act of ours is nothing but service to the divine. Do whatever you do. You sweep the floor, you man the gate, you operate in the hospital, teach in the schools, or just arrange the mattress over here, or anything that you do. Anything that you do is a seva in our institutions. And that seva automatically converts all your actions into worship. At the same time, it also looks after your personal welfare. Yoga, Kshema, both are being taken care. This is the beauty of these institutions. This is what I go around telling. So when I was in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and of course it's a great achievement. We're just beginning our medical school, and look at the respect that this idea itself has earned. The director came here, saw the hospitals and everything else while I was on a tour abroad. He went back so impressed. He said, something we must do. This spirituality, this culture, this compassion, this kindness has to be taught to the teachers and doctors and everybody else. Imagine the topmost institution says this, that we need this culture of spirituality in our institutions. And the main idea of this thing was not so much of an intellectual exchange, but actually it was about cultural and spiritual exchange that we can have. We can teach them how to do service to patients, how to treat them with more respect and love, how to have that culture of empathy and compassion. At the same time, be very competent, very capable surgeons and doctors and professionals. So that is the idea. 1956 is when it was established. It's one of the oldest institutions, 70 years old. 2,000 beds or something, I don't know, and it is the largest institution in the country at this point in time, with several other branches as well. With all this, what we have seen is the respect that they have for the work that we do. I'm sure we are not capable of that technical or that size and amount of work, but the quality of our work, especially the cultural quality, the compassion in it, the kindness in it has touched everybody. And of course, it is one director had come here, but he went and told it to the entire faculty, and everybody was there. The senior faculty was there in the boardroom, and they wanted to hear from us. And they heard, and when I explained and what we are doing, many of them said, this is unbelievable, this is such a good work. And they all said, we will come there and help you in whatever way you ask us to do. We will come and support whichever way you want. I told, yes, you have so much of competence, please share with us. And we will teach you compassion. And competence and compassion are the two sides of healthcare, of the same coin. So this is what the healthcare system needs today. A lot of hospitals have too much of competence, brilliant doctors. You can't doubt their skills and abilities, but no compassion. They treat patients like sick bodies. As a matter of fact, they do whatever needs to be done. But there is a father, there is a mother, there is a daughter, a son, a husband or a wife behind that patient number or that disease or sick body is not something that touches the heart. So these are the things that we have to put into place. And of course, they were very, very curious how we are running it all free. These are very large institutions. It's not easy. They had a lot of discussion post the MOU exchange. Also, we sat for quite some time talking about the future of medicine and how India can show a new way of doing things right in terms of compassionate healthcare. They were very, very happy and very keenly listening to whatever we were saying. So this is the kind of respect the work is getting right now. And what fortune, we are all children from villages. Many of them have never stepped out of their villages or at least the districts, but for the education system for which they came. And you are stepping into a world-class medical college, those who are pursuing that, or for the matter, for that matter the university and the various courses that are there. And you have people coming from around the world teaching all these things. They are such accomplished people who have kind of established themselves as the experts in their fields. They come here, talk to you, share their ideas, their understanding, their knowledge with you. And what do you have to do? Nothing. You have to just walk from hostel to the college. Your food comes to your place. Your healthcare is at your place. Teachers come to you. Clothes, dhobis bring the clothes to you. You don't do any much work. Everything else what you require, from electricity to maintenance to whatever you need to study, is completely provided and at no cost. You don't have to worry, my parents have to send money, only then I can buy my paste or a brush for the next month. Nothing. Just go to the stores, pick it up. Nobody asks you a question. Only thing that is expected in return for all that is being done by so many people is, be good students, be good citizens, be divine not humans who are trying to be divine, which expresses itself through these humans. Be such pure instruments of God. Is it a big ask? Is it too much of a demand? I don't understand. So this is so simple to understand. When everything is being done, all we have to do is rise to the occasion and make the use of this opportunity and don't waste it. So many students I had to reject this year because they were not up to the mark. Despite getting everything they have got, they have not understood the value of this place. And largely these children were those who were from well-off families. They knew even if they can't study here, they have somewhere to go. It's the poorest of the poor who are more serious about. So now I've become even more serious about taking the poorest of the poor and the rural. I do not want to take people who think that if not this, there is something else any which ways. No, we do not want them. These last few lectures I've been continuously talking about improvement of education system, improvement of the quality of our students and staff. It's because there is so much that goes into running these institutions. Many of you may not have a slightest idea of what it takes. But how many of us work how long every day, every night? Especially me, because my devotees are there on the other side of the globe also. And all those who have done those time zone projects, they will know that while I sleep, there are messages which are accumulating in my inbox. When I wake up, those have to be replied to. And then when I'm awake, again the messages are accumulating. So we work in all time zones. You come only to school at whatever time and go back to the hostel at some time. But I have done all the time. So also such a huge team of ours works round the clock. They're everywhere in all parts of the world. They're working for whose sake? For your sake. For these children, for these patients, for these staff, so that you all have good work to do in your hands. These children have good education and future. These patients have good health and they can go back healthy and take care of themselves and their families. Nobody needs to have any issues. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. This is what we are trying. And this is our Vedic verdict. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. We have to ensure everybody is happy. Sarve santu niramayah. All are healthy. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Everything good happens to everyone. Ma kaschit dukkham apnut. Let no one have any sorrow. So just chanting does not help. We are making it happen. So each one of you has to carry this awareness within you all the time. That each one of you is so supremely blessed. And when institutions of this repute, state heads, constitutional heads, around not just in India but in so many parts of the world, they are noticing it, appreciating it, and wondering about how is it all possible. Governments cannot do it. These big institutions have huge government budgets to run, yet they find it difficult. We just run on faith. If this month we have managed, next month will happen. Why? Because God is there with us. And if God decides that this should continue, He will continue it. And God decides it should not continue, who are you and I to stop or start anything here? This is what I meant by divinely designed, divinely driven. This is all divinely managed. So I always remember Ashtavakra Gita. I am not simply saying, I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer. I truly mean it. Na kartasi na bhoktasi mukta evasi sarvada. I am ever free. But I don't have the responsibility of running all this. I always believe it's God's responsibility. I am an instrument of God. And as long as we remain pure instruments, all the work will continue and will grow and expand and embrace more and more people. But those who have been so blessed to be a part of it as staff or students or devotees or in any which way volunteers, Every day you have to remind yourself, because our mind is quite capable of slipping into complacency very often. Every day we have to remind, this is an opportunity for some punyam that we have done or we are going to do, or whatever be the reason we are here. And every day has to be spent as if this is the last day over here. What if I don't get this day again tomorrow? I must do everything in my mind to make the best of the opportunity that has come to me. Make the best not for myself but for everyone around me. Make it worth their while in this place. That kind of a commitment and that kind of passion should be there in each and every one of us. We are like that. Most of us are like that. That is why these things are running this way. But children join from various parts of the country. Their parents come. Some from them find it difficult to completely comprehend. To all of them, I am mentioning this. So you don't do the right thing at this point in time, you will lose the opportunity. And then don't know when it's going to come back to us. And I've been telling this place will be flooded with the best of the minds, best of the people in the world. They will be here. There will be artists, there will be educationists, there will be philosophers, there will be doctors, healthcare professionals, name it. All of them will come here to take inspiration from this place, because they all have understood that this is the way to do things. This alone can help the world. No other system, no other philosophy, no other ideology can help the world. Only what we are doing is the right way. More and more people are getting to understand and appreciate this. And imagine we are a part of it. So even if you see there is a deviation by somebody, it's your moral responsibility to stop it from happening. If you see there is anything that is not in line with the philosophy culture of this place, and somebody knowingly, unknowingly, on purpose, or inadvertently ends up doing something, immediately each one of us should take responsibility to ensure that it is arrested at once. So also all the infrastructure, everything in all these campuses, everything has to be maintained, kept up, because that we give to the next generation things in a better shape than how we received. We don't give them a rundown, used, and kind of a dysfunctional system. We give them better system than what was given to us when we joined. We leave behind a better system. This culture has to be there all the time. It starts with simple things. I tell children, concern for others is culture. Be concerned about each other. Then I'll call you a cultured person. Culture is not about how well you speak, how well you dress, how many things you know about your history and traditions, how ritualistic or orthodox you are. That is not culture. To me, culture is simply the ability to have concern for each other and do something about each other, right? Simple thing I'll tell you, kids. You go to bathroom, you have a wash, you have a shower, or you use the restroom. When you come out, be concerned that next person is going to use the same space. Have I left the place in a way that the other person will find it easy, clean to use, or have I been so insensitive that I just walked out after using, without even looking back, saying whether everything is okay for the next person to use? No, that is culture. Whatever I do, is it affecting anybody else's convenience, comfort, or whatever happiness? That is culture. I'm aware of it. I'm sensitive about it. I'm all the time mindful of everybody else around here. I just don't do things as I love to do here. No, it's also about how others would receive it, how others will be affected. In everything, if you think like this, you are really a cultured person. That is also Seva. Seva is not just going to the hospital and doing some Seva. Seva is being concerned about the next person and doing things right. Keeping things neat, not breaking things, using things but leaving them behind in a better condition than what you had received. Simple things. Worrying about others, being concerned about others is our culture. And as long as we keep doing that, this institution is going to reach everywhere. Nobody can stop it. When there is a need in the society, when there is a requirement, we respond. Something moves within, something stirs within, which says, oh, there are people suffering for this reason. Is there anything that we can do? And if we can, we go all out to do that for them. That is our culture, because we are concerned about the next person. We come up with a new project, we come up with expansions, we come up with new things. That is because at the core of our entire organization is this concern, this culture of concern. That makes us think. Now, when medical college came up, concern again. So many children cannot become doctors. How to help them? So after COVID, Ukraine crisis, all these things, how many children suffer? Rural children don't get admission. They find it difficult to compete. That is concern. That's our culture. That gave birth to a medical college. Sarla Hospital, Memorial Hospital. It was upgraded and made into a world-class surgical hospital. Why? Culture of concern. COVID, we saw so many people suffered without oxygen, without proper hospital beds. There also people were making business out of people's lives. That is the time we built and developed that. That is again born out of concern for others. Today I was discussing with a team which is working on starting the technical training courses, plumbing, carpentry and computer sciences, simple things like that. So they are setting up the hostel and getting those industrial sheds ready, putting the labs. So their team came and met me. And I told them 5 years back, I told a lot of students are not able to cope up with the education, the academic side. They are simple children, they cannot afford to study all these higher classes, but they are capable of things. However, they cannot study academics. Let us teach them something else which they can also learn and also make a living out of it. So we thought of these ITI courses, COVID came, this came, all this went back and forth. But we are starting this session. From July onwards, that technical training course is starting, and half of the students who have applied are our own schools dropouts, who left the schools after 10th because they could not cope up with the academic part of it. So they are coming and joining. Again, why we do this? Concern. What about those who cannot follow academics? Should they have a future or not? Concern. It also leads to another project. So also I seen Veda Parshala or anything else, new girls to education, university, PhD, whatever we do, it's only born out of that one idea that we are concerned whether our next human being, next fellow being has everything to lead a happy and a healthy life or not. If there is anything that we can do, we try and do. So where do you get all these ideas? Somebody asked me. I tell I just sit and worry about people's welfare. And whenever I see there is a gap between what we are doing and what people need, we come up with a new idea. So it's only because of concern and love for everybody that we come up with new ideas. Oh, you have already plans and budgets and everybody. I told I have nothing. I have only this idea with me. And I have concern with me that how is that person going to survive? So we come up with things. See, there's a primary school that they wanted. Some of the staff requested. Some of the children were going out. They're spending a couple of hours outside. First, I thought primary school is not our forte. We have never run a primary school. It requires a whole lot of new things. But then when requirement was there, concern again. Why these kids go 1 hour up and down outside and, be exposed to all kinds of things. Let us create an environment where children can grow more peacefully and lovingly. And it becomes seamless integration with the education system. So it is not the thing that we do, but we end up doing that. Yeah, today Annapurna is telling 1 ton of ragi and jaggery has been now transported to the entire Telangana state because we are working for the entire Telangana. Almost 20 lakh children will be served morning nutrition from 1st July onwards, and the pilot starts on 20th. Why they are working day and night to gather so much of ragi and jaggery and package it and run the factory at such effort? Concern again. Some child somewhere is not getting food, enough food. There is malnutrition. They are suffering with all kinds of diseases and deficiencies. Concern again. Everything is concern. Today there was a talk by a lady, Dr. Shefali Vaidya, but she was talking about the temple architecture and about Indian temples and the details of that. Talking to her, then we talked about textiles and saris and things like that, which she is also interested in, how motifs of temple are also seen on our textiles. And she's doing a project on that. So I told, I also keep ordering a lot of saris from these weavers. And some people think I am a kind of, lavishly wasting people's money. But what do you know what's happening in that weaver's house? Who is now mixing poison in his milk and feeding him and himself and wife and his children today? Or who knows what is going to happen tonight? Who is going to hang himself or herself with the same sari which they weave? What do you know about it? How many children will be orphaned? How many farmers we are going to lose, weavers we lose because of these issues. Throughout the COVID, we ordered saris. And when I told our people to go and order the saris for the children, those weavers sent me a message. They survived only because of our order that COVID time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived. Government didn't do anything. Nobody did anything for them. Many of them decided to quit because it is not paying them well. So, idea is that concern. So everything I do, I only ask myself, is this going to make somebody's life better in some way? Somebody who is suffering, will it reduce their suffering to some extent, if not all? Will it make them better human beings by learning, by getting education, by participating in whatever we are doing? Yes, then I'll go and do whatever it is required. That is the reason why we are growing. There is no other reason. There is no other reason why a tiny hamlet like Muddenahalli, totally invisible on the map, today is on the world map. Why world agencies are recognizing the work. Why so many people from around the world are coming and participating. These are not devotees. These are not those traditional category of devotees. These are all people who are good-hearted people. And they were looking for a place like this where so much good is happening. And they're inspired. And they have been telling me, I went to Delhi, I met so many more people. Everybody cannot be shown on the TV. Each of them came and told, please do something here, please do something there. So much needs to be done and things like that. But I said, yes, whatever is possible, we will do. As much as possible, we will do. But in future, imagine if each one of you turns into another me. What's going to happen to this world, you can imagine after that. Everybody, every disciple becomes a guru. Every guru becomes God. Look at the change that it will bring about in this society. And all the problems will sort. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya will be realized. This is possible only if you are willing to do selfless service. Out of the concern that you have for each other, for the less privileged, marginalized, for the suffering and the sick. And if each one of you make it your life's mission, while you might still doubt your abilities and your talents, whether this is possible for me, possibly not at this point in time, but in few years, yes, each one of you is capable of it. If you keep working on yourself. So one side of it is do not waste these opportunities. Second side of it is commit yourself to the greater idea of how you want to lead your life. A life of purpose, a life of concern for others, a life of service, which will uplift so many more people. And that is going to be our legacy that I want to leave behind. So whenever I meet these institution heads, when state heads, I tell them the same thing. I'm building an army of youngsters. I'm building a new generation of people who are so committed, capable, compassionate, willing to commit to a mission like this, serve the people. And that is the reason I'm confident about the sustainability of these institutions. It's not the finances, it's not the donations, it's not the support that we get from various places. That may come, increase, may decrease, that depends. But one thing that I'm very, very sure of, that these institutions will be sustainable, it's only because we are raising a whole new generation of youngsters, boys and girls, who are going to be walking in my footsteps and who are going to be another me. I call spiritual clones, who will be able to take this, and each one of you will be a powerhouse of spirituality. And each of them will be able to affect this change in the world. And if we don't do it, nobody in this world is going to do it. Now I have traveled enough of the world and met enough of educational and institutional heads and government officials. I do not see that happening anywhere. It might be sounding like a little exaggeration to some who are kids and do not understand. But to me, I know this is the truth. If we do not rise to the occasion and do what is needed, this world is not going to change. The dark age will continue forever. If we rise to the occasion, take this as our life's mission, each one of us, golden age is right around the corner. And how soon it will happen, it depends on us. This is the only institution in the world which is capable of affecting this change. You may argue there are better institutions, much more resourceful, much wider, larger, older. None of them are working as selflessly as we do. It is not to exaggerate, not to blow our own trumpet, but this is simple, plain truth at this point in time. And therefore, I insist that each one of you should rise to the occasion and become another me. That is the minimum goal that you should have in your life. And that means each one of you should have so much of concern for everybody around. And your heart should melt, your intellect should be fired with ideas, with abilities, with capacities to do something about that. Then each one of you are truly our disciples, our students, our staff. So think like this. This is the nursery where I'm preparing these little saplings. But I'm going to take all of these and plant it in different soils everywhere around the world. And each one of you will have to grow into a tree and give shelter, give succor, give shade, give happiness, peace to so many people in the world. And please, again and again remind yourself, whenever your mind slips into thinking about anything else, pull yourself up. Pull yourself up by your own strength and make sure that you continue to remain committed to this cause. So, while for small children this may be a little too much, but I know they're quite intelligent, they would have picked up at least some points. I look forward to seeing a day when each one of you will be running institutions, not just being a staff in one corner, but each one of you will be being a leader of an institution in your own might. So till such day, my work does not end. I have to keep working to ensure that such a day arrives. And how soon it arrives depends much on you than on me. So you have a great responsibility. It's a partnership. Yatra Yogishwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti Dua Niti Matir Mama. This you have to remember all the time.